a video on one of my favorite training approaches, I guess, plans, programs. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. And it's going to be a little bit of a strange one, perhaps, but for some of you, this may be valuable. And I think it plays into this mentality we have that we have to train hard all the time in order to see success. Like you have to really put in a lot of volume in order to see any sort of benefit from training. You have to suffer at times and to see benefit of training. While that's certainly valuable to increase volume over time and things like that, but you may find in your life that there are stretches of time when you're like, man, I don't feel like I can train like I want to. I'm just going to give up. And because if I can't train like I want to, then I'm going to give up. Don't do that. Don't do that. I'm going to suggest to you a simple plan in this short video that may have not dawned on you that that's okay. And I've been doing this for years. And when I started adopting this approach, it's silly to say. I feel foolish in saying it, but even I was like, "What? I can do that?" And anyway, Jason Miller, PhD, by the way. Here, I'll say Dr. Miller, but I can't save your life unless it's indirectly through the barbell. By the way, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and like this video if you end up liking it. I have a pretty good sized library of videos all covering a range of things: journal clubs, book club, book reviews, so on, and rants, and etc. So anyway, let's talk about this simple program. This is this first dawned on me, and I did this anyway, but it wasn't really into my brain as a concrete thought until Dan John. If you're familiar with Dan John's writings, I would highly recommend you go check out some of his books. They're easy to read, and he falls in what I would say. I released a video last week, I think, on the KISS principle of training, and the more I've done this as a career of exercise and sports science, now 20 plus years doing this as a professor, a coach, a personal trainer, I trained high level athletes down to just people just looking to lose weight. And I say just because I don't mean that in a negative way, but sometimes those are the people that have to work the hardest, right? Just being, though, in the sense of a lot of the variables are very simple. Doing them is the challenge a lot of times. But the variables are very simple, like the book by Ripto, Practical Programming, Dan John's books, right? Simple books that help boil down all the complicatedness of exercise. Many times in exercise and sports science, I think inadvertently, sometimes maliciously, in the sense of to manipulate people, we make exercise overly complicated. I saw this when I was a personal trainer years ago when the gym I was working at, I didn't, I had an ethical problem with this. It was like have them the individuals do exercises that are too hard, like they can't do them on their own. So like stand on I've seen this done. If you're a personal trainer, don't do this. Have some integrity. Do not do this to people. Have them stand on a wobble board while they hold a Bosu ball over there, or while they hold a medicine ball over their head and try to squat. They're not going to do that. Like you wouldn't do that. Don't do that to people. Right? But the point was to make it exercise so complicated that the individual would say, you know what, I need a trainer because this stuff's really hard. In fact, all they could do is go down the machines and just take a couple rows of that for about 6 months, and they'd see tremendous results just from that. And I'm not necessarily a machine fan, but I'm not an anti-machine person either. Right? So the point is that a lot of times we make exercise too complicated. And so Dan John suggested the busy man's or woman's approach to training. And it's simply this. If you only have time to stop by the gym for 20 minutes, do one really good quality exercise, and obviously make it a compound movement. So this is, those of you that have home gyms, this could be a really nice approach mentally to say, look, I'm going to do one exercise 5 days a week. That's 5 quality exercises. If you did 4 sets of back squat, assuming you're good at back squatting, by the time you warmed up and got the 4 sets of 10 done, or whatever you're doing, that might be 25, 30 minutes. That's all you got time for. That's it. How much work did you get done in a high quality back squat session for your lower extremity? Really well done. If you turned around next day and said, you know what, all I have time for is overhead pressing. This may take me even less time. It may take me 20 minutes after a good warm up. Okay, 20, 25 minutes max. I'm going to do 4 sets of 10 overhead press. That's all I have time for. It feels like I should do more. I should do some arms. I should do some upper back. I don't have time for that. Next day, do a bent row. And then back to a leg exercise, do an RDL movement. It may feel like I'm not doing anything that's valuable, but in particular, there's busy times when you don't have an hour and a half to spend training. That can get it done. That being that maintenance program. That can keep the muscle mass you grow. That burns calories. That'll help you mentally feel good. If those muscles were exercised, you push some blood around, you can mentally feel better, and it's a small time commitment. Again, I realize that can be harder. If you drive 25 minutes to do 25 minutes of work, that's a greater challenge. I'm not saying it isn't. But certainly for those of you that have home gyms, or if you can buy a set of adjustable dumbbells or just one, that can be a valuable program to work in, again, especially in those busy times. Even if your gym time has to be truncated, you're like, oh, well, I only have time to, I got to pick up the kids, etc. I mean, I have the same restraints a lot of you do, or I got class or whatever. I got 60 minutes and I really like to get some bicep work in. We'll do the biceps later in the day. Like sometimes we get in their mind that we have to do training a certain way. It has to look a certain way in order to see success. And that is just not true. It can look very different. Remember, the whole point is accumulated volume, especially if you're talking about caloric expenditure and gaining muscle mass, and even to some degree strength training. Okay, is accumulated volume. Even if you want to get stronger, make that back squat session really good. And that's all you have time for. No accessory work. You don't have time for that. And then tomorrow do an upper back day. And you know that takes less time. And so what you're going to do there is put that on your busiest day of the week when you know you only have like 20 minutes. You could work in supersets, of course, maybe some of the other exercises, like you do an arm day, superset back and forth between that 15-minute, done. Bis and triceps, done for that day, or whatever it is. Okay. So I'm just offering suggestions though, for those of you that are busy, and you're thinking of the all or none approach. Stay out of that cycle. That's one thing I feel confident in telling you. Stay out of that cycle and find what you can do. If the gym is too hard to get to, it's quite a commitment to go to the gym time-wise. It may require, and this is easy for me to say, I realize, but it may require you to pick up an extra piece of equipment. And adjustable dumbbell is one of the easiest ones you can pick up. And the store is nice and it doesn't require a lot of space. But that can help with this type of busy man, busy woman approach of a one exercise per day type thing. If it's a dumbbell, and certainly if the dumbbell challenges you, that could be good. But that might be a good superset configuration, like a dumbbell, doing a dumbbell squat, front squat, goblet squat type of position if you only have one in particular, and then pair that with some overhead pressing, and then do some horizontal floor presses with some bent rows, or DB row if you only have one on the next day. Right? You get these nice pairings. 15, 20 minutes, you're done. Move on. Get up just 15 minutes earlier before your day kicks off, before you shower, and knock out this quick routine. So anyway, I hope that's helpful, and it may seem kind of silly, but maybe you've never thought of it that way. I know I never did. I was doing this kind of to some degree already, but to really think, if I just had a good 20-minute compound movement session, I'm going to bench for 20 minutes. That's all I got time for. I got to get moving on my day. I don't have time to spend an hour to 90 minutes or more training. Well, then this is what I have time for. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to feel better for it. And when I'm ready to re-engage to those bigger training sessions, I haven't lost much, if anything at all. It's easier to maintain than it is to rebuild. Okay, it's easier to rebuild than it is to build the first time. So, if we stay on that maintain first, then when we get back to wanting to build, and the times I always say when the clouds part and the water's calm, then you can push hard again. You're in good position. All right. Hopefully that was helpful. Again, if you like this video, like it. Be sure to check out Dan John's literature. Highly recommend. Maybe I'll do some book reviews on his stuff. I think it's like Never Let Go, and there's a couple of them. I can't remember the name of books. I've read through them. This has been a while, but books that I thought were valuable. Again, easy to read. They're training books, but they're not textbooks. They're not like my book, even, where there's a lot of physiology per se. It's just some good kind of common sense, talking to your neighbor who is a really good strength coach about what to do. And I think you may find value in those. All right, see you in the next video.